Podcast.
Hello and welcome to First Geek 411. I'm your host, Cameron Franklin, and with me, as always, is my best man, Chris Nicolay. Chris, how are you doing today?
Hello. I am exhausted.
And in a completely different place.
Not really. Everything's in the same space.
Different.
It looks different because it's a mess behind me. You can see my old TV. I mean, it's still the blue screen thing that I usually have. I just don't have a place to put it right now, so it's fun. My fan thing, I don't know. I was in here when I moved in.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care for it. It's Phoenix and Dragon. Yeah, it's cool. Sure. It's cliche.
It's cliche. And coming from a room that could literally be anywhere, Shanine, how are you doing today?
Good.
And
we
then
do need to decorate. You're not wrong.
I guess I don't know if this is to your credit or against me. I never realized there wasn't anything behind you until literally just now. You've been on the podcast for like 5 months.
I've noticed. Well, normally it's closer. The camera's closer, maybe. I don't know.
I don't either. And then with us from a very well decorated room, Emma, how are you doing today?
You're only seeing half of it, or maybe a third of it.
Mhm.
I'm doing pretty good. No complaints. Tired, but no complaints.
This week, we're going to be chatting about Wakanda coming to Disney Plus, Super Smash Bros. And burgers. Some financial hot takes, question mark? I just assume there's going to be. I just assume the notes say nothing about hot takes. I just assume there's going to be them. And then we're going to talk about how the Nintendo Switch is killing it. And then, of course, we'll wrap up the show with our top 3 this week. We're talking about the top 3 things you would give or tell your 10-year-old self and why, as submitted by Chunk the Hut with the channel points feature of our Twitch. Before we get into the show, as always, listeners, you can find us on our social media, which is OneGeek411 on Facebook, Twitter, and our Instagram. You can also join our Discord server if you want to chat with us between shows. And then you can send us an email at 1stgeek411@gmail.com. You can check out our show notes on our website, onegeek411.com. And you can watch live on our Twitch Monday night, 6:45 Mountain Time. Be part of that post-show chat, as well as find the videos later over on our YouTube, like our book club that will be up, I promise, tomorrow morning. After I said on stream yesterday that it would be today, I promise tomorrow morning. And then we also have a Redbubble store. And if you're a podcast listener, you can rate and subscribe wherever it is that you find awesome podcasts. Let's get into our favorite things for this week. Emma, why don't you start us off?
Sure. So this is something that probably would have gone under news, but I kind of took it because this is something I'm super excited about. But we got some pictures from the set of Thor: Love and Thunder, and we have some new costumes and outfits and things like that. And I'm just super excited because Thor is my favorite in both the movies and the comics. So that's something that I just love from this week. And then we had book club last week, and that was a lot of fun. And there was lots of giggling and sidetracks and all of that nonsense.
So I don't know if that was a compliment.
In my opinion, it was a good thing.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
That's
Lucked out this time, Chris.
Every time.
And then I've been playing some more. I continue to think of it as Animal Crossing, Assassin's Creed Valhalla in my head. That would be a crossover for the ages, but I've been loving it and having a great time and really enjoying it. So that's been my week.
How far are you into Assassin's Creed?
Admittedly, I just got past the title screen.
Oh, okay. Nice.
So I've just gotten to England and I've been there for maybe an hour.
Nice.
But I mean, I'm also in grad school, so
yeah.
Any progress is good progress.
I was mostly just curious on how much,
yeah.
how much we can talk about it, like that kind of thing.
Not a whole lot.
So. Janine, what all have you been up to?
All right. I started reading our February book club book, Ready Player One. Only a few chapters in, but going good so far. I'm enjoying it. Lots of 80s nostalgia. I can dig it. me and my husband have been playing through Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. It's ridiculous and I love it. That's all. It's very chill. Chill murder mysteries.
A nice chill murder.
You know. And we also recently watched Lord of the Rings over the span of like 3 or 4 days.
Extended editions?
Obviously.
Just, I have to make sure.
I'm insulted
Best
that you
ones.
have to ask.
Blame other people I know. I watched Lord of the Rings on Hulu. It's not even worth watching that.
I have them on Blu-ray.
I'm going to buy them again on Blu-ray because now they have the 4K editions.
That's how they get you.
That is how they get you.
I don't know. Whatever I have works for me. It was great. I loved it. And my rankings completely flip-flopped.
Yes, about that. What are your rankings? Just so it's recorded, not just on your.
What were your previous rankings first? And now what are your rankings?
Previous rankings was Return of the King, then Fellowship, and then Two Towers.
Are we going top to bottom or bottom to top?
Top to bottom.
Okay.
And now, my favorite would definitely, by far, be Fellowship. Very closely followed by Two Towers. Almost indistinguishable. And then Return of the King is fine.
So now you're...
Mainly I like the last like 20 minutes.
Yeah, that kind of lines up with my take after like we rewatching it for New Year's Eve. Like I mean, obviously Return of the King's amazing, like all that kind of stuff. But like a lot of like the hype moments of the series, I feel like are in the first two, and then the end of Return of the King.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much. Plus, I just love. I don't know,
break 'em
the
up anymore.
Fellowship.
Just, I like them all.
So what we need to do now, though, is the definitive ranking of which discs of the extended edition are top to bottom. But that's a whole nother thing because we would have to see where scenes end and stuff like that. But,
Yeah.
Getting tricky.
mm-hmm. Chris, what all have you been up to?
So I ended up starting to watch Smallville again by accident.
By
By
accident.
accident.
Using
So-
the Netflix random feature.
It's on Hulu. And Hulu just put it on after I finished an episode of something. And apparently I was napping, so I woke up to it playing, and then I got sucked in. The music's so good in that. Like they match that soundtrack to those episodes perfectly. It's a little too high school in general, but you know, I'm there for the music. And we got some good Christian rock bands playing in that. Just throwing that out there. Good times. I did end up watching the Fate series, which is a Winx live action Winx from Nickelodeon back when reboot. It's weird, but I don't know. It sucked me in too.
I feel like there's just like a weird amalgamation of words.
Yeah, it's essentially it's a witchy kind of show, but apparently they're actually fairies, and I don't know. Feels more like witchcraft, but don't at me. The Promised Neverland finally showed up somewhere where you can stream it, which is on Hulu, and there's like 4 episodes up. I've only seen the first one so far, and I am so stoked. I am going to watch all of them and get caught up and probably talk about it more next week, but it's so good. If you haven't seen season 1, go watch it. It's dark.
Never even heard of it.
It's dark.
But looks good.
It's because Emma doesn't listen to me.
Definitely remember seeing it somewhere.
It is so good, but it's dark. It gets dark, so dark.
Wait, how dark is it?
It's dark.
So dark.
So dark.
Is it this dark or this dark?
It is I don't even know. I don't even know how to describe it. It's Vanta Dark.
Okay.
I'm just thinking of the scene from Parks and Rec with the black like ribbons.
Oh.
Where Jerry goes, they all look the same.
So Vanta Black is the darkest black or no. Technically, another person came out and made a new one, but it's expensive paint. But it's darkest paint, and you can paint something, like disappear. It's
That absorbs all the light.
yeah, it literally does.
Yeah.
And it heats up. And do not paint your wall that.
Bet.
You walk into it. That's how dark that black is. Like you can't differentiate it. It just looks like it's a dark boom. I don't know. What else? And then this weekend, I spent the weekend, which is why this is a mess, kind of reorganizing things. I bought a new PC case, so I have to move all my PC components from one case to another and installed a new CPU cooler. It was fun. It was a project. Just makes me want to build a new computer, but soon. And I worked on some more woodworking designs that I will start here in the next few weeks, hopefully.
Nice.
Now that the garage is clean. Did that too. All the stuff. And then obviously last week technically the third one wasn't an episode of our podcast, but 3 podcast events last week. And
Yeah, we did.
I'm tired. And I also had interviews at the end of last week and the start of this week. I'm tired.
I believe in you.
You got this.
I think the interview went today really well, but go. I'll just
So for me, Magic the Gathering Arena finally came on mobile. And so if you want to play a squinting simulator, it's perfect. And so I've done a draft through that and then kind of just played a bunch of elves because that's much easier because I don't have to read those cards because I just know what they do. So definitely not the ideal. Yeah. Mobile is definitely not the ideal way to play Magic, but
I think they intended it for tablet users.
Nope. It was intended for Android phones.
For phones? Well,
yep.
Maybe you just need one of the newer giant phones.
Yeah.
Like the Samsung Galaxy S21 Plus.
The ones that don't fit in anyone's pockets. Those ones.
They fit in guys' pockets.
Yeah. Do I look like a guy to you?
I'm just saying, they at least give it. They give us
No.
pockets.
Never have been, never will be.
It's an unfortunate thing, but.
And then, as Chris alluded to, we had triple podcast events last week. And so we were part of the first Great Commander Showdown with our friends over at the Infinity Bros and City on a Hill, where we played some Commander over on their stream. Should be on the Infinity Bros YouTube channel sometime this week if it's not already. And so go check that out. It was a blast. And we'll be continuing that next month, or I guess this month now. But we're looking at that last Saturday of the month. And then also played some more AC Valhalla. And so I'm a bit farther than the title screen, but it's because I'm not in grad school. So I have a bit more time. And so I think I have 3 story trophies left if that's how the hidden trophies work out. And so
Nice.
And then we restarted or re-picked up our Doctor Who marathon. And so we're back on that. With that, let's jump into our discussion topics for this week. Emma, what do you got?
Yeah, so today we learned that we will be getting a Wakanda series over on Disney Plus, naturally, because that's where they're all showing up at. And it's part of the exclusive deal that they have with the company that's making and working on the other Marvel TV series. And like I said, it's focusing on Wakanda, and it has the director who worked on Black Panther. And I'm just wondering, for all of y'all, is there anything in specific you'd like to see in this series? And if you think Chadwick Boseman's passing has impacted their plans for Black Panther in any way. So, what do you hope to see from this one?
Black people.
You don't say.
All of them. Starring. Boom. Diversity.
Yeah, from a story perspective, I hope that we do get some sort of in-world acknowledgement and like reference to Chadwick. That's definitely something I would like to see. Other than that, like Black Panther, the movie has a lot of just like really powerful characters, like on-screen presence. Like I kind of would just hope that they'll continue that. Like it's one of those, like I feel like the majority of that cast is just people that you could put in just about any movie and I would want to watch them. Like,
yeah, same here.
Also, throw in Agent Wu.
Please. He's great.
He should just be the
love.
He needs to be the new background character for everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Darcy.
Get that
Darcy.
woman a coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah, get that woman a coffee and let her do the sciencey stuff.
Yeah.
There's lots of sciencey things happening, and yeah, I think she'd fit in great in Wakanda.
Absolutely. She would probably just love it.
Her and Suri would be best friends.
She would just move there. And then do you think that Chadwick Boseman's passing has impacted their plans for Black Panther in any way? I mean, obviously, it has, but in what ways do you think that might have impacted things?
We kind of discussed this at the start. Like, no one knew he wasn't well. And so the showrunners, everyone, like, you know, they had to adapt and kind of like, what route do they go? And one thing I hope, like we mentioned, we hope they don't CG him in, just kind of acknowledge it and kind of passing, and it sounds like that's exactly what they've done. They are going to do, and ultimately we're going to have someone else kind of step into that position for the MCU storyline.
Mm-hmm. I'm definitely curious, like if we would have seen this happen if Chadwick hadn't passed away. Because like I think it's based on this article, it's Ryan Coogler is the director, and I believe he put out a statement after Chadwick passed away saying that he was in the process of like one of the revisions for Black Panther 2. And like, so I'm definitely curious to what this show means for that movie. And like in terms of where do they fit in, how do they connect this, if there's, I assume there's still going to be a Black Panther 2, but how do they connect those together in a way that like makes sense? I don't know, for lack of a better word, but
works and connects with the rest of the universe.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially as we're like mid WandaVision right now. And so like we're really in the middle.
Which is just pure genius in my humble opinion.
Yes. But we're kind of in like that middle of seeing their first take on a TV series. And so kind of seeing whatever that's going to mean for
that directly connects into the MCU. Like we've had like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and things like that in the past, but
that's more one way.
That's like, more one way. And they've, for WandaVision, they've taken main characters from the movies and have a TV show around them.
Mm-hmm. Shanine, what do you think?
I don't know a lot about Black Panther and Wakanda outside of the MCU. I guess I'm just excited to see more of like a different place and different culture, because largely we've gotten like the States and like outer space.
The States and outer space.
New York and space.
So it'll be interesting to see
And a little farm in the middle of nowhere out there at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that was the other thing.
Where
that we
everyone's
watched
just
this week.
like, wait.
We
Hawkeye
watched
has a family?
we watched Age of Ultron this week. That's what else it was. I was
Oh.
like, we watched some movie and I couldn't remember what it was.
I mean, we
yeah.
got some Europe, I guess, in Spider-Man.
Mhm.
Far from
Yeah.
home.
Like
Okay,
largely speaking, our main locations are.
The whole thing
So-
that cracks me up with Spider-Man is the fact that Tom Holland is British. And in the first movie, he's just at home in the US. And then for the second one, he's like the title of it, whatever it is, he goes to England. But it's like, oh, they're going on a trip and they're going away from home.
Do
Like,
they
he's
end up
just-
in England?
Or for at some point, yeah. And he's just like, Net, I know this place. I grew up here. But anyway.
They definitely travel around.
They definitely travel around.
And now based on what Shane said, I'm trying to think of all like the places that they go outside of the United States. It's like they go to an airport in Germany in Civil War. I think in Doctor Strange, they're in China for one scene.
Black Panther, they're in Japan for a little bit.
I mean, Age of Ultron predominantly takes place in...
Sokovia.
Yep.
Sokovia, yeah. A made-up country.
But very obviously centered around certain cultures.
Yeah.
Yes,
You can picture it.
yes.
Oh man, listeners, if you have any ideas of what you would like to see for Black Panther or Kingdoms of Wakanda, is that what it's called? I saw the title and then I meant to.
I think it's just Wakanda. I don't know. It may be. Oh, this Kingdom of Wakanda series. So maybe.
Oh yeah, based on that's what I saw. Based on Kingdoms of Wakanda. Then that's just a statement. I don't even know if that's a comic book line. I don't know.
We'll see.
Comic books are a mystery. And so if you have anything you would like to see in this Wakanda Disney Plus series, let us know. Shanine, what do you got for us this week?
Okay. I just found out about this local restaurant that I think opened up a few months ago, but still fairly new. It is called Burger Brawl, and it is a Smash Bros. Themed burger restaurant where all of the burgers are designed after Smash Bros. Characters. And they have 6 burgers a week that fight, and you get to vote on them. And
By
the one with the
ordering
least
them?
votes gets knocked out. Well, you can order them to find out what they taste like, and then you vote on their social
Oh.
media, and the one with the least votes gets knocked out.
I just figured they do it by orders. We sold this one the most this week. It wins.
Well, it's more limited than that. They only sell them on Fridays and Saturdays, and once they're out, they're out. So they'd have, like, I'm assuming the same amount of all the burgers,
I want a Sephiroth burger.
right?
Yeah. So now, like what? So does like Kirby Burger eat you? Like, is then?
No, they're
Yes.
like super fancy gourmet burgers. So
Yeah.
I
From
just
this
want
article,
all
they
of
look really
these.
nice.
yeah,
So
They're
instead
pretty
of
cool.
PAX West,
I'm like, how far is the drive?
from Seattle to them, too far. From me to them, I'm down. When's the border opening up? Because I will always travel for food.
For me, especially burgers. I love burgers.
hmm And I feel like for gourmet burgers, these are relatively reasonably priced as well.
I
So
probably wouldn't normally travel for a burger. It's like our number one food commodity here.
Okay, so here's what we do.
would you travel for a Sephiroth burger?
Yes.
Yes.
Like I've already established that. Like these burgers I'll travel for just because of the.
So what we do is, assuming we're able to do PAX West, we have Shanine and her husband bring us the burgers,
Just to order some takeout.
Yeah. And then we don't have to go get them. There's no way that'll go poorly and we'll have any issues with customs.
Yeah.
Or that they'll keep.
Yeah.
Also that.
It's like, why is my bun all soggy?
Make a choice. I shouldn't have got the Sephiroth burger.
All right. So, aside from
I think
Sephiroth,
that's a Splatoon burger.
which Smash Bros. Character do you think will have the best burger?
Not Princess Peach, because she keeps getting kidnapped. So you wouldn't have a burger.
Is gonna be the best. Let's face it.
I feel like I would really like any of the fire Pokemon ones because that's got to be spicy, which is right up my alley. So, yes, I feel like in terms of what I would order, that's probably what I would end up doing.
Maybe the Mega Man burger. I don't know.
I want to ask the inverse of this though too. Which one would be the worst?
Ganondorf.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Or Captain Falcon. Captain Falcon's just gonna be a basic burger.
In chat, racial tension with the correct answer, Wario.
Yeah. I think they do have the Wario burger right now.
I like it.
If you go to burgerbrawl.ca, you can see the 6 burgers that they currently have, and they have descriptions of them all.
No, I'm just kidding.
Well, yes.
Well, chat, I'm even dropping this in there for you. Of course, leave the podcast open in one tab. Open this in another. But oh my gosh, they do have the Bowser one, and it looks amazing.
It's got those fried pickled jalapenos. It looks like.
This is great radio.
Yoshi has an egg. Ooh.
Yeah.
Zelda's chicken.
The Pikachu looks good with mango
I was looking at
salsa
that.
and mango hot sauce.
Roasted yellow peppers.
I'm going to be thinking about this restaurant for quite a while.
I'm gonna be thinking about it, and then I'm taking time off as soon as the border opens. I'll see you then, Janine.
Let us in.
Deal.
Let us in. We want the burgers.
That's assuming I don't get in trouble for speeding when I get across the border.
I mean, if you can
I
trouble
don't
for speed, it'll just
understand
take you longer to get there.
kilometers.
And then Shane, it looks like you have another follow-up question for us.
Is there any other video game themed restaurant that you would love to eat at?
There's a Dragon Ball ramen shop in Florida.
In
I've been
Florida?
there.
You've been there?
I have. When I went to visit, well,
Oh, that's
I
right.
didn't
Oh,
go expressly to visit Nerd of Godcast, but I did see them
you
there.
did. You went there for the Dragon Ball ramen shop, right?
Yeah, clearly.
Yes.
How'd you know?
If there was a Studio Ghibli themed restaurant, which I'm sure there
Ooh.
is, but I'm not sure if there's one stateside, I would go.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In terms of actual like games that have food, like there's a lot of cooking in Fire Emblem 3 Houses, and based on the fact it boosts people's stats, it seems to be good food. So there's
Yeah.
that. And then I'm trying to think what else. Obviously not Final Fantasy 15 because they just camp and like make ramen. But although Ignis is supposed to be like an amazing cook, but
Did you never have him cook anything other than ramen?
oh, I did.
Oh,
but
okay.
like, but it's not the same of like going to a restaurant in the game. It's
Yeah, but you collect all these recipes and ingredients, and you have Ignis cook for you. Like, I'd be down for that.
Got a shout out in chat to Persona 5, had some great food. And the Persona games in general always have like a burger eating contest that you can do to boost your stats. And now I'm just back on burgers. Thank you, Shanine.
I just thought if there was an Animal Crossing restaurant, it would just all be fruit. They would just slice fruit for you and go, here's your apple you ordered.
It's actually just an orchard. Like, you go grab an
That's
apple.
just all it is an orchard.
You have to go pick it yourself. Another good call out, Monster Hunter restaurant. I can't eat their portions though, so maybe not.
I don't think anyone could.
Yeah, well, you just got to go hunt monsters to burn those calories. Like, that's how they get you.
It's like a party restaurant. It's like smallest group size allowed is 15 people. It's the
Great for parties.
It's the anti-pandemic restaurant.
Yeah. Chat, keep y'all's ideas coming. We'll talk about them over in the post-show chat. And that brings us to Chris. What do you got for us this week?
So much. So, Cameron, I was really disappointed to find out that you don't have stock options at work.
This is true.
And I was really surprised, actually. But for those that haven't been following, I'm sure everyone's heard about this. But recently, Reddit has caused quite the stir in challenging hedge funds who are attempting to short Cameron's employer, GameStop. But how much do you guys know about the stock market?
I mean, I know how supply and demand work.
Yeah.
So
you can only buy turnips on Sundays.
The correct answer.
But so, I mean, there's a lot of crazy things happening here. So, but what happened essentially in January is, word got out that hedge funds were ultimately going to short GameStop stock. Essentially, they're betting against their stock and predicting that it's going to drop in value. And essentially, they are agreeing to sell stocks at the established price, and then ultimately, when it drops, they'll buy it and fulfill their need. They're kind of like it's kind of a brokering thing, which would ultimately net them money because they're getting paid a certain value for the stocks, and they're paying less. But because of that agreement, it also goes in the vice versa. If you plan on shorting a stock and it begins to go up, you eventually have to fulfill that stock, so you end up having to buy at the higher price and sell and lose money. And so then Reddit gets a hold of this, and millions of people begin buying Reddit stock or GameStop stock, and it goes through the roof. Like, last I checked, it's still 100 something. It reaches like $300 per share from its kind of steady place of like $30 a share.
Wow.
And the hedge funds were just bleeding money. There's some additional things going on here. It's kind of just crazy. But one thing then also that added to the controversy was certain stock trading apps like Robinhood then limited or shut down the sale of such stocks. And that was controversial because it seems like they were taking the hedge fund's side and trying to prevent further loss for these kind of already rich people. Rich people, man. But this is like the perfect example of eat the rich. Just throwing it out there. But I'm also going to play devil's advocate because I go on deep dives. And so like last year, I did do a deep dive in finance when I started planning on buying stocks due to COVID and everything, blah, blah, blah. But I also did another deep dive. But I'm going to play devil's advocate here and say Robinhood was not wrong to shut down trading on these specific stocks, if only to preserve themselves as a broker firm. So one thing about trading stocks is that it has not actually sped up in the time frame that you can purchase a stock anymore with modern technology or apps. What a broker firms does is essentially they agree. They are lending you the stocks until the 2-day finalization of that stock transfer goes through. So they are agreeing that at the time they agree to your purchase of stock, they are lending that to you, and then they have to actually then, when they can, 2 days later, finalize the stock at that price, they potentially lose money. And so Robinhood, being a pretty common app and so many users, as a broker, had to control their risk and loss because of the fluctuating prices of GameStop and that specific stock, because they have no control. They make that agreement just as a user, but they're not actually betting on anything. They just simply have to go back, and depending on what that price is. So you agree to buy it at 100. When they find 2 days later, when they can finally purchase it to replace the stock they lent you, it's 200. That's a big loss, especially across millions of users. So I'm going to give that one to them. But then also there's AMC and several other things. And also now Reddit's saying buy Dogecoin, which is a joke cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
As opposed to the not joke cryptocurrencies.
Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Like Bitcoin?
But literally, Dogecoin was created as a joke, and for whatever reason, people own it. I own it. I still own it. I don't know why. I still have
Why?
because I thought it was funny. But now I'm really hoping, like, all over Reddit, it's take Dogecoin to the moon. I'm like, okay, so Reddit wants to try to get Dogecoin to $1 value. It's like 2 cents a coin right now. If it gets to $1, I'll make like $5,000. Just throwing that out there.
Nice.
Although that's capital gains, but that's one thing. So I'm not a financial professional, but that is my understanding of the current situation. But yeah, no more market manipulation by the rich people.
No more market manipulation by the rich people so far.
So far. Well, or like every time the rich people start to manipulate the market, it's just Reddit's going to take over and make all us poor people a lot of money. I hope. Maybe. I don't know. It's crazy. But in other news, like, I don't know. What stocks would you guys like to own?
I mean, technically I own stock, but I don't understand any of it because my mother runs it for me. We have a stock person, but she's the one who understands all of it.
Broker.
So, yeah. I don't know. I'd have to understand it better in order to make an educated answer.
I would love to hostile take over a company.
If you could have understood stock and invest in an early company, where would you have invested?
Early on, probably something like Apple or Nintendo.
Nintendo's actually still very reasonable.
Right. But like, if I could travel back in time and like buy stock for a couple of companies and then come back to the present day, it would probably be one of those.
Yeah, like, I mean, the kind of the crazy ones, like if you would have known early on, so like Netflix stock value, Apple, Nintendo is old, but they do steadily grow. They're a good, like, steady one that you can kind of predict. But ones that kind of just took off that I would do would be like Netflix, Amazon, maybe Google. I don't know. There's a few things. But is there a Canadian company you'd invest in, Janine?
The burger place?
The burger place.
I
don't think they're publicly traded.
They are now.
Right now. As soon as they start the franchise, I'm buying that up.
Tim Hortons.
think they're publicly traded. That's a good call. But yeah, but in other news, Tesla announced a new Model S with some fun little features. So first off, a unconventional steering wheel. It's like a little paddle thing.
Do you have a link?
Yes.
Can you put it in the show notes?
No.
Because then we can see also and we can talk about it.
It looks like a cockpit, but yeah. But the big news is that
weird.
is that you can play Witcher 3 because your car now comes with a 10 teraflop gaming rig built into the car. Because why not?
Sure.
Yes, I'm going to play a video game while I'm supposed to be driving and paying attention to the road in front of me. That's a good way to die.
You cannot play and drive the car at the same time, as with any
So
other
far.
entertainment features.
So far. So that steering wheel is really interesting. Like,
Yeah.
For the listeners at home, it's like what Chris said earlier. It's kind of the cockpit like wheel where it's like a U shape, and then in the middle is like your horn and airbag and stuff. But so rather than being the full circle.
Yeah. But so if you can't find a PS5 or Xbox Series X and don't want to pay a scalper, why not get a car attached to a gaming rig for $80,000?
Pay several times the cost of a console.
I mean, you get a car with this one though.
But what if it's someone who can't drive? Hot take.
Then it'll build up value because you're not putting miles on it. But yeah, so it is a most random thing to include, but kind of saw it coming because we already knew you can do certain things with the big Tesla center console, and this is just a further expansion now allowing you to play AAA titles in your Tesla.
Let me know when it can play Skyrim.
It probably
I wanna
can.
play.
I'm assuming if it played Witcher, it could probably play Skyrim. And I'm pretty sure it gives you access to your Steam library.
Yeah. I mean, if I can play Skyrim on my Samsung fridge that I don't own, I'm pretty sure the Tesla can handle it.
Yeah. And my last little bit of news is Ghibli is breaking their norm. They are officially entering, and this comes to streaming services February 5th. But Ghibli is making a CG movie.
Wow.
And I'm not sure how I feel about this. But so we should say this isn't like obviously Hayao Miyazaki. It's just Studio Ghibli. Although it is Goro Miyazaki. I am interested. Fortunately, it's going to be like on HBO Max and also and other streaming services February 5th. It'll be in theaters February 3rd if you have a theater open.
What's it called? Did you say that?
Oh, no, I have not.
Okay.
They are making...
Again, it's not in the
Earwig
show
and the
notes.
Witch.
Yeah. Earwig and the Witch.
Yep.
Yep. Which is... it's an adaptation of Diane Wynne Jones's book series, which is very similar. Also, like The Howl's Moving Castle was an adaptation of her work as well. But ultimately, the plot is it's the story of a 10-year-old orphan. 10-year-old orphanage resident who happens to be a witch's daughter. Eventually, another magical woman adopts her, and Earwig's supernatural origins come to head. Yeah, like
I'm
the
definitely
characters
interested to
look
see
like
what they
Ghibli,
can do.
but
Like,
there's just something about CG that, when it comes to certain styles, I can't stand. Which is like a lot of like. They started doing a lot of CG fillers for anime development and it's obvious. Granted, this will be more like completely CG, but I don't know. I just love Studio Ghibli's 2D art so much.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not, from these pictures, I'm not a big fan of the combination, but I feel like this may be one of those things that could prove me wrong in terms of how good or bad it could be.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, we only know. I mean, it's cool. Like, I mean, obviously, Ghibli is a small studio, so they do have to adapt and kind of modernize in a sense.
Yeah.
Whether or not it's right for them to do, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But I was also interested. Also, speaking of, sorry, back to the thing. So Netflix is actually ready in talks to talk about the Reddit Hedgefund controversy to make a series or a movie about it, by the way. Already. Yeah. Like, sure. So, like, it's going to be the Wolf of Wall Street, The Big Short, those types of movies.
Ugh.
I love those movies. Well, The Big Short was good because it actually really does explain the finance system pretty good. But those are my news pieces. Nothing kind of crazy, just things that I've been kind of partaking in. Yeah, I figured you guys won't have too much to add to it, but
I got some stuff for us to add to in my topic. And so I don't know if y'all have checked the link that I put in the show notes so far. If you haven't, don't open it yet because we got surprises. So Nintendo Switch has been killing it this year, and that is no like mystery. Like,
No.
It's been a fantastic year for Nintendo, led primarily by Animal Crossing. And this past week, we got news that the Nintendo Switch has passed a certain other Nintendo device in terms of sales. What
Wii.
other Nintendo? Oh, not the Wii. That would be bananas. But what Nintendo device do you think the Switch has now outsold?
I don't know. That's the only other Nintendo device I know. Oh, wait. Game Boy.
Let me see if I can actually find. I thought I found the numbers for the other ones as well, and now I'm not seeing them in this article. Did I just make that up? Oh, there it is.
they're
Yeah, they're there in the front. And so, so it is still lagging behind the Game Boy, but it is about to pass the Game Boy Advance. So, Nintendo Switch just outsold the 3DS, which is impressive because there's like 8 billion versions of the 3DS. And so,
Seriously.
Yeah. And so Nintendo reportedly has
there's
shipped
technically like two versions of the 3DS, but there's also the 2DS, which is just an iteration of the same console without the 3D features.
Mm-hmm.
But I know
mean,
what you
just
mean.
in general, given how
But
many
it's a 2DS, not a 3DS.
different random consoles Nintendo has gone through over the years, it's just
So Nintendo reportedly has shipped almost 80 million, putting it about half of the lifetime sales of the Nintendo DS. At 154 million, Nintendo Wii at about 100 million, and then Game Boy Advanced is also at 118 million. And then the sale through of the Switch has been about 74 million units. So with those numbers said, and that knowing that this has been a bananas year for Animal Crossing, how many copies of Animal Crossing do you think were sold according to this financial report?
a lot.
More than Pokemon Red and Green.
Couldn't tell you. I can just say a lot.
So maybe we worded that question a different way. If you had to guess what percent of Nintendo Switch owners had Animal Crossing, what percent do you think it would be?
105%.
82.
Now I actually have to do math real quick. But,
There are more copies of Animal Crossing in the wild than there are Switches.
Is this fact or just a hypothesis?
It's just a hypothesis.
Okay.
Because early in the Switch career, there were more copies of Breath of the Wild sold than Switches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So roughly 42% of Switch owners have Animal Crossing. And so, which is staggering for a game that came out this year to have close to 50% attach rate. And then Mario Kart Deluxe also is at 100 or is at 33.4 million units. And so bananas. And so with all of that said, I guess I had a follow-up question for y'all, and that is, which Nintendo franchise are you most wanting a sequel for?
Zelda, Breath of the Wild. I mean, I feel like Animal Crossing is one of those games that you can play around with for a long time, even just off and on. Whereas something like Zelda, there is like an end in a sense.
So are we just talking Nintendo exclusive or an actual Nintendo franchise? Like
made
owned by Nintendo?
Yeah, made by either Nintendo or they own the IP or
the IP is known as a Nintendo exclusive, like.
Yeah, sure. For the sake of not like we don't need to get in the weeds, but like in terms of just Nintendo IP, Nintendo.
Because I'm not sure if it's actually owned by Nintendo or what, but Golden Sun.
Yeah, and that's what racial tension dropped in chat.
Nice.
It is an awesome answer.
Racial tension. We should talk more.
Yeah. I played a lot of the Game Boy Advanced Golden Sun.
Yeah, that's one that kind of just went away, or like we haven't seen much from. And I've always liked their mechanics. I played through those games.
Mm-hmm.
I almost even bought a Wii U, but oh. And no, developers are Camelot Software. I don't know who that is. Never heard of them.
But in that case, though, it is published by Nintendo. So
yeah, but it's
so
not
at least there's
their ownership. You know what I mean?
I mean, it might be. Like, PlayStation owns Uncharted, but it's developed by Naughty Dog.
Do they actually own the IP? I don't think Nintendo actually owns the IP for this, though.
I don't either, but they're the publisher of the franchise. So,
or Baten Kaitos. Oh man, I don't know who made that either, but talk about an obscure game. Put way too much time into.
Janine, I know you're a newer gamer, but do you have any Nintendo thoughts?
Bit of a baby gamer. I don't know if I'm super into like any franchises. I just kind of play random stuff. They should bring back Nintendogs. I don't know.
Updated and reimagined.
That is kind of one of those franchises that was all over the place for a while.
Yeah.
Like, and then just kind of vanished.
Yeah.
It like you saying that really makes me think of like, it is weird that we don't have a Nintendogs on Switch.
Yeah. Right? I feel like Switch is one where they would definitely bring that back.
Yeah. I don't know. I'd be down for like another Luigi's Mansion.
I should have to how well 3 did.
Yes.
Like reception wise. You think if I asked this question, I would have had like an answer ready to go. My go-to is always Fire Emblem. That should give me a Fire Emblem game where cutscenes are better animated, better acted, things like that. Like that's definitely one of like the things that kind of wears on me playing Three Houses is like all the times characters spar, it cuts to black and they just do like generic sword sounds. And then it's like, oh, that was an intense fight. It's like, show me the fight.
Don't
tell
be
me.
lazy.
Yeah.
Don't be lazy.
And so like that's definitely one of the ones I would like to see them again, kind of after the success of Three Houses and Fire Emblem in general over the past several entries. I would like to see them do go much more in depth there. And then I had a GameCube one that I had thought of earlier. It might not be a actual Nintendo one, but it's Custom Robo. Is that what it's called? It's another published by Nintendo one.
Third-party series, yeah.
Yeah, developer is Noise, and so Custom Robo is a game I didn't play on like when it came out, but I played a lot in college with one of my friends, and so big shout out to that. The idea is that you get a robot, you customize it, then you fight in an arena, and so but it's not necessarily like battle bots, it's more like mech kind of stuff, and so I would love to see them go back to that. But yeah. So with that, let's go into our top 3 list of the week. This week, we're talking about things that you would give or tell your 10-year-old self and why, which was submitted to us by Chunk the Hut, who over on Twitter said that he would give his PlayStation 4 and his TV, and then he would sell them to Sony. And then he would tell himself to do better in school. Emma, why don't you start us off?
Sure. My first thing I would suppose to no one's surprise would be a DVD set of the first season of Doctor Who, because I was 10 the year that came out. So I would give myself that and tell myself to watch it. So, yeah.
And Shadeen, what about you?
All right. I thought a lot about showing myself one of my fandoms that I've discovered, but I feel like I discovered most of my fandoms at the proper time for me.
Mm-hmm.
The fandom doesn't arrive early or late, but exactly when it means to.
But one thing I feel like I could have got into earlier was Star Wars, because I did not see a single Star Wars movie before I was 17.
Same here.
So I think 10-year-old me could have got into it. I feel like I miss a lot of the Star Wars nostalgia that a lot of people my age have. So Star Wars.
Chris, what do you got?
First thing I tell my 10-year-old self, and hopefully he remembers going on, so these have an order, but screw college. We're not cut out for that. That's the first thing.
And why?
What?
No, she said you weren't cut out. I'm just Chris, without college, we would never have met.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Get to that. Go.
Okay. So my first one, kind of to the surprise of probably no one, is I would want to give myself the collection of Avatar: The Last Airbender. And so that was a series, of course, that I got into older than intended audience kind of thing. And so I think 10-year-old me would have definitely connected even more with Aang. And I just can't imagine like connecting with Aang so much as a 20-something. And then like how much like 10-year-old me would have been like, Aang is my people. And so, but yeah, so Avatar: The Last Airbender definitely would be the first thing for me.
All right. My number 2 would be I would give myself a camera, like a nice one for photography and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I would tell myself to like practice with it and play around with it. Just have fun, because I feel like I would have really loved that then at 10 years old. Plus I would have built up skills, but that's just the side effect. But I feel like that's something that I was one of those kids who like at summer camp, I had all the disposable cameras and, little point and click things. So I feel like having a camera to like a nicer one to practice and play around with is something that I would have really liked at that age.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my number 2.
My number 2 is I would have told myself not to get rid of my OG Polly Pockets. I had a couple of the little compacts, and it's just one of those toys that I feel like would have been a cool collectible now, because Polly Pockets now have like these weird legs and not the round bases, and they're like fancy and stuff, and they're not all tiny and just ridiculous. I wish I still had my OG Polly Pockets.
I feel like that's something you have to tell your mom for, though. Your parents, don't throw these away. You got rid of my what? My
What do you got?
number 2 thing is, as a result of not going to college, buy Bitcoin. Go all in and hold it until 2017. And even then, just get rid of half. Because by then you're going to be hurting for money and you're going to want to sell it. But
My third one, or my second one, I'm skipping ahead. My third one, again, I just did it. It's the third on my list, but I'm going out of order, is that I would give myself money to buy Magic cards. And so 10-year-old Cameron had just gotten into Magic the Gathering. And I got hit with my first rotation, where the cards that were legal and standard ceased being legal. And I was like, this is crazy. I liked my deck, even though I couldn't win a game with it because it was more than cards than it needed to be. You can't tell me throwing elemental is bad, but yeah, so I would definitely have wanted to, take more time to go in and play more Magic. And, of course, like in that way that like Magic is almost like stock market junior. It's like here's the cards you buy all of these and then you hold them till the future. And so, but yeah, so Magic for me. Back to you, Emma.
So my third one would be I would tell myself to always keep trying, because that's a good effort. And I guess it's another way of saying don't give up, but to just keep trying and working hard, because you're going to get somewhere good. So that's my third one. Pretty simplistic, but
That good advice.
yeah.
Right. I would have told myself to not stop imagining and creating. I feel like 10 is kind of peak creative times for kids. And I think I was a creative child, and then I got older and stopped. And now I want to be creative again. And it's surprisingly hard to get back into it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I can see that.
You got to stretch that brain.
Yep.
My last one would then be find Cameron Franklin and provide all his Cameron's personal details. To this 10-year-old.
Find this man.
I won't even give him a time frame to actually find you. It's possible we could have met earlier as a result. It's possible I would have looked you up in high school or something, and we could have met sooner.
Yep.
Who knows?
It is also one of those of like, I have had like the same phone number since whenever I got a phone, which admittedly was like, admittedly older than 10, but like, it is one of those things.
Call
that,
this
like,
number on this date.
Yeah. I love it.
And yeah, like telling my 10-year stuff about 10-year-old stuff. Like, I don't know. I think I was fine as a 10-year-old. I don't think there's anything I needed to know or encourage, or whether or not I would have taken myself seriously at the time. Like, trust me, if my 10-year-old self had an adult tell him, just keep trying, I'm like, at what?
Whatever I want.
Yeah. It's like, what? Okay. It's like Mega Man. Yeah, I can beat this. That's what I. That's how I would have taken it. But I had a great memory as a 10-year-old. So telling him all these things, eventually, like as things pop up, he'll be like, "Wait, what? Bitcoin?
I remember that.
What? I remember something about Bitcoin." It's like, is this why I'm supposed to say screw college? Yes. You can do college later.
I think for me, the last thing I would want to give myself, and this is kind of like the most serious one, is like information on like personality tests. Like, not necessarily that like I would want to sit down and be like, this is your Enneagram, you're a Ravenclaw, like that kind of thing. But like, kind of just giving that like planting that the seed of like figure out how you think. Because like that's one of those things where like I think for a lot of people it's like you look like as you get older and you understand yourself more, you look back and you realize, oh, this is why I did these things.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that if younger Cameron had understood that, like definitely would have handled some things very differently in my life. And it's one of those that I definitely wish I understood. I mean, I definitely wish I understood myself better now, but like I definitely wish I understood myself better, especially in like high school and stuff like that. And so I think planting that seed of like, it's okay to be whoever you are. There's nothing wrong with these personality types. Like that kind of thing would have been a huge plus. We have a very serious question in chat, which is, would 10-year-old Cameron have been friends with 10-year-old Chris? And the answer is hard yes, because I know 10-year-old Cameron was friends with everyone.
Question is, would 10-year-old Chris have been friends with 10-year-old Cameron?
Yeah, see that's the serious question.
Yeah.
I don't know.
10-year-old Emma was the same as 10-year-old Cameron.
Yeah.
Friends with everyone.
It's not that I wasn't friends with a lot of people. I don't know.
Yeah. Either think about it. Report back next week.
We'll think about that. I'm going to go revert back to my 10-year-old self and determine if I still like Cameron.
Yeah. It's a fair point.
Yes,
that wraps
at 10 years old, I didn't differentiate between people. Yeah, I wasn't friends with everyone. Don't get me wrong, but that's because I didn't have the energy for that shit. Too many people. But yeah.
Oh, and we skipped. That does wrap up our top 3, but we did skip an announcement this Saturday, 6:30 Mountain Time, as a follow-up to our book club from last week. We will be watching the winner of our poll, which is Muppet Treasure Island. And so make sure to join our Discord server, and we'll be talking about organizing, getting all of that set up in there. But yeah, if you're available, come watch Muppet Treasure Island and hang out.
Did 10-year-old Cameron care about sports?
No.
Then we would have gotten along fine.
Well, I mean, like I played sports, but no.
Then we're set.
Next week for our top 3, we'll be looking at our top 3 illustrations of kindness, continuing our series on the fruit of the spirit. And so we hope you'll come back and be a part of that. And then we are First Geek 411. You can find us on our social media as One Geek 411. And then you can join our Discord server to chat with us about book club or just about anything between shows. You can send us an email at 1stgeek411@gmail.com. You can watch live right here on Twitch or right here on YouTube, wherever it is that you're watching. And then you can find us over on Redbubble, where you can buy some merch, and then you can rate and subscribe wherever it is that you listen to podcasts. You can also check out our show notes on our website, onegeek411.com, where you can find the backlog of our sister podcast, Faith, Trust, and Pixie Dust, who have been taking a break for a lot of the COVID time. And so hopefully they'll be back soon, but we just want to give them a shout out. And then you can find us, of course, over on our personal social media. I am Humar Whittle.
I am not prepared with an I, because I suck at spelling.
I'm the Hoot and Howl on Twitter and Hoot and Howl Tales, TALES on Instagram.
And I'm not so foreign.
And it's been a great week.
Also, I think I've had not so foreign since I was 10. Maybe. Wash your hands.